Learning any second language is a beneficial process in that it will definitely reveal the shortcomings of any monolingual view of the world.
When you begin language study as an adolescent, in most cases you earn academic credit. When you begin language study as a child, you acquire a voice in the human conversation.
There was a great German poet named Goethe long ago who said, "He that speaks only one language sees the world with only one eye."
This is a choice for parents who really want to have this kind of language learning for their kids when they realize that they are going to be bilingual and biliterate coming out of elementary school.
This is a real leg up in economic development to have a population that can be fluent in speaking a multiplicity of foreign languages.
A few years ago, the State Board of Education spoke with legislators about the need to improve our foreign language capability here in the state.
In 2008, Senate Bill 41 created the Utah Dual Immersion Program. It was created through the good work of former Governor Huntsman and State Senator Howard Stevenson. When the program was funded, we were then charged to create the finest dual immersion program in the entire country.
So here we are, this landlocked state that's not, people imagine in California, New York, Chicago, these would be places where a lot of Chinese and other languages spoken.
I'm in most every state in the nation, and in the work that I do, I find people very interested in what is happening in Utah.
Utah is being talked about all over the United States because we're doing something that no one else is doing.
What Utah is doing for immersion is expanding, blowing up the numbers of students who are able to participate in immersion.
I don't think there's a better program in the United States right now. We have cohorts of people organized to make this successful.
These immersion programs are just adding to our already, I think, appeal to the business community.
But the very fact that the state legislature has provided funds for the initiative and provided its support for ensuring that these programs succeed and grow is another variable that's unique to Utah.
This state is not made it a political issue. Lots of people want to strengthen language learning these days for many reasons. Maybe it's for business competitiveness, maybe it's for broad education, maybe it's for general enlightenment, maybe it's for all these reasons, but it's all good.
I think we see an economic purpose in being open to the world that we hope will present a competitive advantage for Utahns.
We have to have that one edge that makes us stand out more so than anybody else, and Utah has that with the dual immersion program.
The critical language bill was to give us in the elementary schools the opportunity to start dual immersion programs based on a two-teacher model, 50-50 model. That means 50% of the day in the target language and 50% of the day in English.
It is probably the most effective way of learning a foreign language in the context of a school setting.
You are learning the language as you are learning content, so everything you are doing is real. You're talking about math problems, you're solving math problems.
Students learn the language because they're immersed in it. So it sort of happens as a byproduct.
Well, to learn language in isolation is not always the most effective model. We want students learning content in a language.
Well, we do half day in English and half day in Spanish.
I start in French and then go to English.
English half the day and Chinese half the day.
When you go to the Spanish teacher's class for 3.5 hours, never a word of English is spoken.
You have to speak English in one class and Spanish in the other.
Immersion is the best, most effective model. It also happens to be the cheapest model.
We're using a two-teacher model, and this doesn't increase our FTE or the number of teachers in the building.
Un autre on se repromène, alors à vous. Montrez.
We truly have parents knocking down our doors to to make this accessible to their students.
I was ecstatic when we found out that this was coming to our area. I know multiple people have tried to either move here or get boundary exceptions to be a part of this program.
Parents in Utah get it about the importance of language from many different angles. There are waiting lists at every place.
We do a random drawing. Kids are just selected, and so there are always a few that are on a waiting list, and they're okay with that too.
And if my kids don't see that I value their education and that I want this for them and to show them all the advantages that it can give them, then in my opinion, I'm not a very good parent.
There's something that doesn't just quite ring true to the layperson about learning math in Chinese. Really?
When our students come into kindergarten, they don't know anything different.
They just see it. When I go into this classroom, I'm supposed to learn everything in Chinese, and they just do it.
They seem to not understand this is supposed to be difficult.
This is exciting. Learn sounds, learn work. We read in Spanish and English.
A lot more is happening in the classroom than I think parents even realize.
The research indicates that the earlier you get them to start learning a foreign language, the better it is in terms of language acquisition.
Little kids' brains have more room to store.
But there's a phenomenon called cognitive mapping, that as you get older, your brain becomes more and more efficient at your first language, and it's screening out all other sounds.
If I talk to the adult, I say, oh, please say 是. And the kids say 是. And the adults will stop and they think and they say, how do you spell it? You have to see it with your own eyes to see how good these kids are doing.
Et puis au. Ah, tout le monde sait le déjeuner.
Y solo estás como comiendo plantas. Ni hao. No, y aquí y mi papá escogiendo y pongo en la piel es como ah. It's just really fun. When you talk French, you kind of feel like you're almost like in France. You're just in a school in France.
In the dual immersion program, not only are students learning a language, but they're actually experiencing different cultures.
We prepare them to see the world differently.
It's like they have this whole new global awareness.
And our teachers bring stuff from China, and we have dumplings, and we eat them with chopsticks.
I tried their chocolate, and it tastes way different.
There's so much more to what we're doing than just teaching them language.
Last year we had a high school teacher, and he taught our PE classes for us in Chinese, and he said that our students could speak better Chinese than his high school students.
I'm not fluent with Spanish yet, but I'm almost fluent.
For their little domain of what they can do, many of them sound native.
This isn't something that we are doing without a lot of careful consideration.
We have set proficiency targets for every grade level, from first grade all the way up through sixth grade.
We do monitor the students' progress and then compare their academic progress to make sure that they are on par with their monolingual peers.
Those students not only do as well as the kids who were not in immersion, they generally do better.
We're not leaving any of the curriculum out in order to insert a language. We're enhancing the content by teaching it in multiple languages.
There is nothing to be lost, academically or linguistically, by involving your child in learning a second language.
By the time they get to junior high and high school, they're studying multiple subjects for longer periods of time. So it can't be immersion in the sense that half of the day you're learning content in another language.
Students will have the opportunity to take some content classes in Spanish or Chinese or French.
As ninth graders, they'll be able to take the AP test and get college credit.
In high school, they'll have the opportunity to take college-level courses as sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
We're hoping to see students who are able to nearly complete a minor in a foreign language by the time they complete high school.
This is truly the future global economic workforce that will be able to go on and do double majors, major minors. They will go into engineering, business, law, medicine, politics. This is the future of Utah.
All of these are languages of commerce and society around the world that our students should have that opportunity to engage in.
It's my dream that the dual immersion programs that we have begun in our elementary schools become the norm for all students.
Our governor has set a goal that by 2015 we will actually have 100 schools impacting 30,000 students.
This is my dream, what's happening in these schools.
It has changed and enriched my life.
These are going to be the kind of students that this country has almost never seen before.
There is no program that is tied greater to future economic development in Utah than the dual immersion program.
It's hard not to be enthusiastic. It's hard not to be excited about what we're doing. I'm really thrilled to be a part of it all.